Tell us what you saw as your role in New York City.
Well, in this role, you're the most senior representative of the Premier of Quebec in the US. So obviously, I saw a lot of challenges on the trade side under the previous administration, but frankly, under this one, it may get even more rocky. And defending our interests, really, for our industry, acting as first-line responders to our different sectors of the industry, Canadian, but also Quebec. And then promoting our companies and trade and trying to get those exports up from Quebec to the United States is certainly a very big priority. And of course, I was there during this COVID situation, though. Mm-hmm. So other kinds of challenge during that crisis, while I was in New York.
Were you called back during COVID, or how did that work exactly?
So at some point in the beginning of the crisis, they encouraged us to come back home, which I did for a brief moment and decided to come back. I had a staff of about 35 people in New York, and I felt I needed to be there. Mm. And so I decided to be there. And the first months of being alone in New York during the crisis were very difficult. At some point, there were 2,000 deceased every day in New York City. You couldn't even buy a coffee. But I felt I made the right decision at the time. And I think the locally employed people who work for Quebec in New York were happy that I was there as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, can you maybe highlight some of your successes over your tenure then?
Yes, well, we did, in fact, raise exports. I think that's extremely important because over the years, we're still, of course, exporting in a majority in the U.S., more than 70% of our exports go to the US. For Quebec, that's very important because we need our economy to do better, to be at par with the US and even our Canadian friends. So raising exports was a matter of being out there, connecting opportunities to Quebec companies, but also making sure that on the trade side, we remain free or with less hurdles to be able to export, so counter protectionism. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty proud of what we did. We multiplied by 10, I think, the number of exports on the US side, but we don't take anything for granted. This could go down, and we have all kinds of protectionist threats that are popping up, as you well know. The other thing is yes.
Keep going. I do want to talk about the Biden administration, but I'm going to save that for later. So let's keep giving a kind of a general tour d'horizon here.
Tour d'horizon, yes. One of these exports is our hydroelectricity, our clean hydroelectricity. Tremendous legacy that we have in Quebec in abundance and at a good price. And so my number one task, why I took this job, indeed, was to succeed in increasing the hydroelectricity, which we've been exporting for 100 years on the New York side. So when I say increase, I mean long-term contract, which has never been done, and the construction of a new transmission line, which happens to be 3/4 underwater. And so this project was facing opposition. We needed a regulatory change in the state of New York to recognize our hydro as clean and also to allow for Hydro-Quebec to bid on the budget of energy for the next 20, 30 years. So we've achieved that. I'm very proud of that. It's not over yet. The call for proposal is ongoing. It should be in final stages very soon. And that is a tremendous legacy when you talk about moving the needle in terms of revenues for Quebec and contributing to climate change on the US side, but really climate change knows no borders. So it applies also to Canada and to Quebec. And finally, attracting investment. Quebec is very attractive for companies to come and establish parts of their operation at low cost with talent and creativity. And so we were pretty successful in doing that.